Okay.
Kendrick Perkins.
God. Here we go.
Said the Rockets should trade both Harden and Westbrook.
Do I even have to address that?
Now, we already know Westbrook runs out.
Yeah. We should have actually talked about that today. We should have talked about that today. Yeah.
But Harden?
Harden said he's committed to the franchise.
Yeah.
I think... Do I even have to address that?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
I can find another question if you want.
No. I'll do this one.
Russell Westbrook to the Clippers?
That wouldn't work for about 100. That wouldn't work for about 100 reasons. But I'm also kind of not exactly high on
Stephen
Russell.
A doesn't like the trade idea.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Trading Westbrook and Harden.
So you know how I responded last week? I'm going to say the same thing. Just no. Just no. Just no. What are you doing? I think you need to trade Westbrook for some good shooters to surround Harden with, so you take the pressure off him. I think Westbrook didn't work with Harden because I think Westbrook didn't offer enough shooting ability. You saw it in the Lakers series. He would catch the ball on the perimeter, and literally the Lakers stood there and said, shoot. And you know what he did? He shot and he bricked. So they need to trade Westbrook for guys, maybe a high level or like one of those like solid starting shooting guard people. Put Harden back on ball and maybe get a good draft pick out of it as well. I think that's the key. I don't exactly know the packages yet. I don't think a team like Miami is going to be willing to deal on someone like Hero. So I don't even know if that's worth it, especially because with the timeline that wouldn't work. But you need a guy who can play off ball, take the pressure off Harden as he drives and runs pick and rolls. You need to go back to this old offense. And yes, maybe that puts too much pressure on James Harden, but you do not blow this up if you're Houston when you have a really, really good roster. I mean, they finished fourth for a reason with a guy who didn't even mesh perfectly with your absolute star.
See, I kind of disagree. Not in the, I mean, Westbrook's getting too much of the blame when Harden should be getting some of the blame.
Oh, yeah, no, he was bad.
Harden has played with Westbrook, Paul, Howard, and, just a bunch of other good players in Houston.
And it hasn't worked.
Yeah. We are saying, when are people going to start saying Harden can't lead a team to a championship?
Yeah, I mean...
It's not going to work. You can surround him with pieces. It's not going to work. He's not a good leader.
That's another debate in and of itself, though.
But, if you don't trade Harden, at least trade for, try and get, a number one option.
The problem is Harden...
Harden won't play along with that because he thinks he's the number one option.
So I get Perkins' logic, blow it up because it's not going to work. But I think it's too. Look, if you're going to give up on your franchise player, you have to be absolutely certain that it's the right call. And I think it's too soon to say, oh, Harden absolutely can't win.
It's been 7 years.
It has. And but he's only been a legitimate title contender for about 3 of those. The 2 years with Chris Paul, where he almost made it to the NBA Finals. Let's just be clear on this. If the Rockets didn't miss 27 consecutive threes, they would have. James Harden would be in an NBA Finals in 2018. I think getting rid of Chris Paul was a dumb decision. I think that's more of a personality clash, though, too. The big problem with Harden is he just hasn't seemed to be able to establish a clear chemistry with anyone that they've gotten for him.
They've got bringing back someone from his
OKC would work.
Would work, but it didn't.
Yeah.
I mean, Harden just doesn't mesh with anyone, and that's going to just make the Rockets fall short every time.
I agree with you. I think it's really, really hard to give up fully yet. I think you need to give him another shot with a good piece, a good, clear second star. I think the issue, with Chris Paul and Westbrook is both those guys are used to being number one options or at least competing for number one option spots. And could have been an ego clash, especially with a guy like Westbrook. I don't think, look at him. The dude thought he was number one in Oklahoma.
I don't see it
when he had Paul George. Yeah, even Chris Paul, though, there was some clash. There was clear clashes with Chris Paul. You saw the fake Woj accounts with all the jokes about it, but yeah, I think it's hard because you're stuck between a rock and a hard place. You can't really trade Harden. There's no real justification with the roster you have right now. It's built around James Harden. There's no real justification to trade James Harden because you don't really have anyone to restart with, and you wouldn't have the roster to kind of with other additional pieces. Also, wherever James Harden goes, he's going to get those complaints because teams won't be able to afford James Harden, LeBron James, or teams won't be able to afford James Harden and Kevin Durant. Like, just the way things are aligned, it would take a massive league realignment. So you can't make that deal because it's ridiculous. But at the same time, I get where you're coming from because the years he's been alone, he's just gassed out because conditioning late has potentially in the playoffs has been a problem. But the years he's actually had clear help, he has clashed with the guy or they just have fallen short. So I get the logic, but I just can't. I can't get on board with that.
But then it just goes into the question, when are people going to realize that Harden can't lead a team to the finals?
It was the same question about Westbrook. Teams are still trading for Russell Westbrook. Like, I think it's just inevitably going to be a thing where, like, I personally, do I think Harden is the best guy you want to go and lead a championship run? No. I think there's 3 or 4 or 5 other guys in this league I'd much rather have than James Harden leading a championship run, based on personality and performance in the playoffs. But if you're the Rockets, there's no real justification you can make to offload him when the whole team is built around him and you would get maybe 1-2 assets to restart with, and you don't really have any young, encouraging pieces on the roster to kind of supplement that growth. I think it's just a little too early, but I can see it maybe down the line happening for sure.
Well, I do think he has like 2 more years on his contract left.
Yeah.
So we might be getting to that question
next year.
I was going to say by the end of this year.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, especially because, Anthony Davis.
Especially if the Rockets don't perform.
Yep, I agree.
Like, honestly, like, what if the Rockets don't get, like, someone good enough by trading Westbrook, you know? Like,
teams are really...
We'll be seeing Harden without a good second option for, like, the first time, maybe.
Yeah, first time in at least 4 years, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you just be going back to those 2016, 2017 teams that kind of flopped in the second round of the playoffs. So, especially with how competitive the West is. We'll just have to see. But anyway.